And good Tuesday early morning. This is your early bird rise and shine look at what we're going to be looking at for the next 7 days. So, right now you see the surface features on the map, and we have a little ragged cool front, if you will, some dry air in place. Um, it's going to begin to work north and wash off the board and become a warm front. And you see the western periphery of this line is actually a warm front, and this will all lift up, and we'll get that southeasterly return flow coming in, and deepening low out here in the plains. Surface low is going to dive down to the southeast and eject out basically in this manner. So um, this is what's going to bring our storm system in, and with that, the threat or the potential for strong to severe weather tomorrow. That timing is going to be tomorrow morning into tomorrow evening, beginning from west to east across the state. And right now, things are very, very quiet across the region. The calm before the storm, if you will. And as we take radar off here, um, there are dense fog advisories out in effect, mainly along and south of the I-10 corridor in southwest Louisiana. Uh, I haven't checked in southeast Louisiana, but you guys know if you're under a dense fog advisory or not in your areas. But anyways, let's go take a look now at the HRRR. So we've got this time frame now where we can start looking at things. So this is the 48-hour HRRR, and I'm going to load a loop up for you, which would bring us, let's see, midnight tonight through 1 a.m. on Thursday morning. So let's load that loop up, and then we'll look at the NAM 3K. You'll see it blink, skip, and jump as the frames are loaded up. Here's your timeline here. This second, where it says model here over on the left-hand side, between the, just below your actual date and time here. Good thing is that this should begin to weaken as it continues to move east out of the state. We'll look at the risk areas here in just a moment. And you see your little swirl right here is your low. It should be all loaded up here now. These are the overnight runs with the HRRR and the NAM, we should have that 06 run as well. And I'm going to have another update probably around 2 o'clock this afternoon. We'll see what happens, as SPC will be releasing a new update. SPC is a Storm Prediction Center. We'll see what changes with their 1 p.m. Update this afternoon, and I'll put together a package for that and upload it to YouTube somewhere around 1:30, 2 o'clock, give or take. So you can see it's going to be pretty stormy as this thing moves through. Again, the main threat is going to be strong damaging winds, perhaps a few isolated weak tornadoes, little mesovortices that'll spin along the leading edge of this thing, and they could be capable of popping off a brief weak tornado. As we zoom in here a little bit, we'll give you a much better perspective, and I'll stop the loop here. Let's go back in a timeline here. So basically here we are at 10:45 tomorrow morning. So this stuff is just getting out of the Houston area and approaching the border, Louisiana-Texas border. And as we get closer to lunchtime, you can see things really start to become active here in southwest Louisiana, and by noontime we're rocking and rolling. I think my resident chaser is going to be out and about tomorrow morning in time for this, so I'll have to maintain comms with him. As we move forward now, as we get into the afternoon, well, you can see the HRRR is painting some pretty intense cells here, denoted by the turquoise and dark grayish black, and even some white in there. You see the scale up here, so that's some high DBZs at some pretty intense returns. So again, it's going to be a pretty bumpy ride tomorrow. Now, not as bad as it could be. We're just getting into our fall severe weather season. This is a precursor of things to come later on as we move further into our fall severe weather season. But suffice it to say, if this timing holds, and we'll have, again, I'll have another update after lunchtime this afternoon with the new run of the HRRR. It'll go out another 6 hours, so but it really won't matter because this will be cleared out between that time. So we'll get a full look at everything between the NAM and the HRRR. So now that we're into the short range high resolution guidance of the models, we can get a fairly decent picture. But suffice it to say, it's going to be rocking and rolling tomorrow morning into tomorrow afternoon and evening. So as we progress through the afternoon, this stuff, although it is moving, it's not moving that fast. But one thing to note is that rainfall rates are going to be pretty high. So this could dump a fair amount of rainfall, inch, 2 inches maybe, before all is said and done. Now, the ground pretty dry. We're going to be okay. Now, places that have issues like your low-lying nuisance flooding type locations. Y'all know where those are. If you live in those areas, you could see a few issues with this. Not a widespread flash flood type event, just a typical heavy rain type thing. It's going to move in and move out. Um, but again, be prepared. Ponding on water on the roadways and what have you. It's going to make driving pretty gnarly tomorrow. So just use extra caution if you're out on the roads tomorrow. So here we go in the mid-afternoon, and you can see even by that point, and let me back it up here just to give you a better perspective. So you can see as we move towards 1 o'clock and then we move forward, we get into 1:45, now 2 o'clock, things really start to ramp up here in southeast Louisiana, and we're still rock and rolling like the Ayatollah over here in southwest Louisiana at this point. But it's beginning in southwest or southeast Louisiana, and then as we continue to move forward, um, things become really active, and then you start to see your more intense cells out ahead of the main line. Um, any of these have the potential to go severe. Down here in Terrebonne, uh, Plaquemines, uh, through Orleans, Jefferson, through New Orleans metro area along the I-12 corridor, EBR up in the West Feliciana, East Feliciana, St. Helena there, over in Livingston and Tangi. So, and then Acadiana is in the mix of it by tomorrow afternoon. So, and as we move further into the afternoon here, uh, the main thrust of this line, which has become pretty wide at this point, and you see all these little nooks and bends in here. Uh, you could see some of these little QLCS spin-ups, little mesovortices spinning in here, and that could pop off a brief weak tornado, such as the way it is with these ragged edge squall lines, if you will. So, and that's a pretty big line, if you will. So it stretches basically about 50 miles wide right here, give or take. But it's more on the 50 plus mile side. That's a pretty solid stout line there moving through. And this will be approaching the 4 o'clock hour tomorrow. Now we'll see how the timing changes with the 12Z run of the HRRR later on this morning. Well, I'll give you the next segment, probably around 2 o'clock this afternoon. We'll see how the timing trends are going, and we'll take a look back, compare the two there. So right now the HRRR, is painting a very active picture. Here we are at 4 o'clock. Things really, really firing up. Pretty intense storms there being denoted. As we move towards 4:30, now we got 5 or 4:45, getting into the 5 o'clock hour here. Still some intense lines, but southwest Louisiana, basically we're done, over with, clear behind it. And now it's mainly southeast Louisiana that's still in the mix of things here, and also in the southwestern Mississippi. And so as we continue to move forward here, you see still holding its own as we approach the 6 o'clock hour tomorrow evening. Baton Rouge, you're basically on the backside of it by then. It's still going to be a messy commute tomorrow evening, tomorrow afternoon and evening. Be prepared for that. Kids riding the buses, getting off the buses, bring the rain gear. It's going to be messy. So as we continue to scroll through the timeline here, uh, still some isolated hot spots of some intense thunderstorms, uh, but it's basically cleared the I-55 corridor southward down to Matthews and Chauvin and Houma. You'd be on the back side of this, and then the little secondary squall lines trying to spin up and develop. Let's see how that progresses as we move forward in the time frame here. So it's really nothing that we need to worry about. But basically let's go back here. So by 8 o'clock, most of it's cleared out except for the bottom of the boot down here. Port Sulphur, Point Lahash, Pilot Town, Venice, Grand Isle, you're still under the gun there. And as we move through, so by 10 o'clock, with the exception of Pilot Town and Venice down there, we're done, except for a few residual light showers that'll be moving through associated with this little secondary squall line up here moving through western Mississippi. We're done. Now, on the back side of this, we can expect some gusty winds, and wind advisory is likely going to go up along with special marine warnings probably going to be likely off the coast with gusty winds, 25 to 35 mile per hour range, and that's when the temperatures start dropping. So with that, let's go take a look now at temperature wise. We'll look at the progression of the temperatures here. So we'll load these up here, and this is with the HRRR. Now, again, most of the models are in fairly good agreement. National Weather Service is rolling with the National Weather Service blend of models as far as temperatures go. But we're going to look at this from the midnight tonight through 1 a.m. on Thursday morning. It'll be just after midnight tomorrow night. We'll give this a minute to load up here. Till we get all the frames loaded up here. Really should change the color palette on this on the model. I'll have to manually do that. I really don't feel like doing it right now. But I'll make it a point to do that before the update, because I have to go into the config file and manually put the color palette in there. I think we're getting close to having the temperature animation done here. So let's scroll through this here, and this would be let's go to 4 p.m. now. So still in the 70s. So midnight tomorrow night, 1 a.m. Thursday morning, we're already in the 50s. Most of us in the low 60s, and then the cooler air is off to the west there. But we'll go to the NAM 3K now, because that gives us a better look. And what I'm going to do real quick is give you a look at the NAM 3K, and we'll compare the NAM 3K and the HRRR just to give you a brief look. So go to midnight tonight through let's see, 48 hours. That should be 47 hours out. So midnight tomorrow night. Alright, so let's go through this. Basically about a 24-hour loop. We'll let all this load up here real quick, and this is going to be future radar now. So to give you a look at the difference between these, are both the 06 Zulu run of both models. So to give you a perspective of what each solution is saying, what each model is saying, and their solutions is what we might can expect. The HRRR does have a tendency to overplay the intensity, while the NAM 3K has a tendency to underplay it. And you see a lot of the light shower activity there in the light green shaded areas. A lot of that is false returns, but as you can see here, approaching from the west tomorrow morning, you see that squall line, pretty stout. A lot of prefrontal activity out ahead of it there. The frames are still loading on the animation, so we'll just give it a minute here to load up. I apologize about the Facebook Live. I don't know what the hell is going on with Facebook. At this point, I really don't care anymore. We got to get 1,000 viewers and 4,000 or 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of video time watched. And once we reach that threshold, we got a whole lot of features unlocked, including the ability for the live stream and for the live chat, at which time I will start looking for some moderators to assist me. And because the trolls on YouTube are relentless, just almost as bad as Twitter. So we got the full animation loaded up here, and we're going to stop it here, and we'll give you a look. So this is after midnight tonight. We get to 1 a.m. now. 4 a.m. It looked like it's painting a few pre-dawn shower activity, maybe some thunderstorm activity along the coastal areas here in southwest Louisiana, and maybe some spotty showers here in southeast Louisiana as well. But as we move forward now, right before daybreak, you see the shower activity beginning to ramp up across southwest Louisiana. And as we move through the morning hours, we see the timing, we see that pretty stout squall line rocking through southeast Texas here, and like the timing is maybe a little bit slower on this, but Got a lot of prefrontal action out ahead of the main squall line, rocking through Acadiana, southwest Louisiana. Not much here in southeast Louisiana, but uh, that will change as we move through. We start getting the forcing for ascent. Acadiana still under the gun, southwest Louisiana catching the brunt of this thing right now, but it kind of breaks up a little bit, and as it moves into the state and progresses. So, and you see a lot of these little nooks and crannies. This is where, in these little nooks or crannies, if you will, this is where you're likely to see your little mesovortices spinning and your little inflow notches, if you will. And it's likely where we could possibly see, tornadic spin-ups. Anywhere in these little nooks and crannies. Not to say this is exactly where it's going to be at, but just be mindful that the possibility is there. And then as we move into 3:30 tomorrow afternoon, we're on the backside of this here in southwest Louisiana. It's getting into southeast Louisiana, approaching the 4 o'clock hour. Baton Rouge is getting nailed by that time. Uh, So again, timing is, as we get later in the afternoon, is fairly consistent between the two, and stormy. That's all I mean, no other way of putting it. And we got the stuff on the backside lingering as we get into tomorrow evening, and here we are at 8 o'clock tomorrow evening, still some stuff on the backside, and approaching 9 o'clock. Still some stuff here along the Mississippi-Louisiana border, down through Slidell, uh, through Upper Plaquemines there, and then we move close to midnight, and still a little bit down here at the bottom of the boot, but basically everyone else is cleared out. So two model solutions, very, very close. HRRR shows a little more intense activity than the NAM 3K. Uh, I'll go with somewhere in between the two as far as intensity goes. So again, have multiple ways to get warnings, weather alerts. Be mindful, especially on the roads tomorrow. Roads are going to be gnarly. A lot of heavy rain with this stuff. Be prepared for that, given that everything is pretty dry. Not going to be a whole lot of issues, but some nuisance areas could see some, low standing water. So now, as we get on the back side of this, let's take a look at wind gusts. So go to midnight tomorrow night, after this is said and done. So we've got gusts in the 30s, mid 30s across the lake there. Even some gusts in approaching 60 miles per hour. So this is going to be some severe stuff moving out over the northern Gulf of Mexico there. Even in the southern Mississippi, these would be some severe gusts, no doubt about it. if this were to actually verify. And this is the NAM 3K, so uh, not going to be that all that accurate, but again, just bear in mind. Now with the temperatures, let's take a look at our temperature for that particular time period. Because once we hit around 50, that's, or 55, that's when wind chill comes into play. But um, at that point in time, midnight tomorrow night, we're still in the upper 60s uh, and low to mid 60s. To the western part of the state now. 7 a.m. Thursday morning. Let's take a look at some temperatures. You see that shot of yellow in there, that's your low 50s, mid 50s, mid to upper 50s Baton Rouge area, low 60s from New Orleans. Again, this is the NAM 3K, but we can take a look at the National Weather Service blended models. But things have been trending just a tad warmer uh, in the forecast solutions. Uh, really thought we were going to see some 40s, but further north, yes. Down here in South Louisiana, probably not. We may. It's not out of the realm of possibility. But with these chilly temperatures, that's when your wind chill is going to come into play. So, um, again, Thursday morning, going to be extremely breezy, especially during the day. And the good thing is, we can say goodbye to the 80s. All the way after tomorrow, we say goodbye to the 80s, all the way through to Monday of next week at the latest. So, a couple of these days we'll struggle to even get out of the upper 60s in a lot of areas. Most of us will be in the 70s during the day, low to mid 70s. It's going to be spectacular. So we have the severe weather threat tomorrow, but the payoff is going to be 6 days, maybe more, of some spectacular weather. It's really going to feel fallish. So we're getting a pattern flip now, and the seasonal flip, and all I can say is I'm happy it's here. So I don't know who stayed up late and watched the Saints play last night, but that was almost like watching LSU, man. My kiddo, she's like me, screaming and hollering at the TV. That's one trait she inherited from me, and that game was maddening. And it may have been a long flight home for the Saints, but you can book it. There was some celebrating on that flight back from Seattle. That was a crazy game. They almost blew it. And now, what's scarier than Halloween? A short week and having to play Tom Brady on Halloween. With that, I'm going to bid you a good Tuesday morning, and next segment will be coming up around 2 o'clock this afternoon. Make sure to smash that thumbs up like button, hit the subscribe button, tap that bell icon to select all notifications, and share. Let's get our 1,000+ subscribers and get our 4,000 hours of watched video time accumulated, so that'll hurry up and unlock the live stream capabilities and live chat and all the other good stuff that comes with that. So um, make sure you download the YouTube app on your phones. You can use your Google account to sign into it. If you don't have it, sign in with Google. And since Google owns YouTube now, so it makes it convenient. And uh, you'll get those notifications as soon as I go live, when I go live, or when I upload a video. You'll get those notifications right then, instead of an hour or so after the fact on Facebook. So we got to make the move, folks. I'll still post static images and stuff like that on Facebook and the warnings and what have you, but if we get severe weather, I need to be able to go live. And the way Facebook is now, you know, Facebook is toast. So uh, let's get the 1,000+ subscribers, 4,000 hours of accumulated video watch time, and uh, let's take a positive step forward. So have a good Tuesday. We'll talk to you again in a few hours. Thanks for watching.